Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Dan Bova at entrepreneur.com. So happy to have you. For those of you joining us live, happy Valentine's Day. And what sweeter treat can we give you than the man himself, the co-founder of Netflix, the founding CEO, Mr. Marc Randolph. Marc, how are you?
I'm well, thanks, Dan. Great to be with you, and hello, everybody. What a great way to spend Valentine's Day,
Yeah,
sitting up
well,
in my attic by myself.
every one of these episodes is essentially a love letter to entrepreneurship. And I've heard that you actually wrote a sonnet about entrepreneurship that you'll be reading at the end. So we'll all look forward to that. So great. We
It,
love that.
it, it would be a shame if there's some technical difficulties right before I get to that, but you're absolutely right.
Well, thank you, everyone. Great to hear everyone popping up in the chat. A lot of you veterans know, please put your questions in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We got a bunch in advance. So, Marc, what do you say? Should we get married? Should we jump right in?
Let's just get engaged first, but yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, continuing with this sort of theme of love in the air, when people talk about starting a business or pursuing their passion, and I wonder, is that a necessary ingredient for success? Do you have to be in love with the business you're trying to get off the ground?
That's a great question. I haven't had that before, but I'll give you my quick answer, which is absolutely. Uh, I do talk a lot about people being entrepreneurs for the wrong reasons. A lot of people think it's some kind of path to riches, or they think it's all about Shark Tank and it's about pitching and parties. And of course, it's except for a very, 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 very small slice of people, that's not what it's like at all. And in fact, it's reasonably grueling. You may have to do the same thing day after day after day after day, and then all of a sudden decide that's not working. And now all that work goes out the window and you do something else day after day after day. And if you don't, for some twisted reason, love doing that, yeah, you're in the wrong business. Um, it makes it, I'm not trying to make it sound like you have to be willing to do this drudge work, because if you do enjoy that sort of thing, this is the best gig in the world. And I am completely in love with what I do. And I'm not saying every minute of it is all, flowers, but it's like any relationship. It has ups and downs, but on the whole of it, yeah, you've got to love it, and you got to love it for the right reasons. It's way, for example, my eldest son, not surprisingly, decided, hey, it would be kind of cool. I'd love to be an entrepreneur too. Kind of wanted to start a company. And I was actually, despite not wanting to put pressure on my kids, I was fairly insistent. You've got to start by, listen, come out to San Francisco, take a summer off while you're in school, and intern for a startup. And I don't mean like a Google or a Facebook, because those are not startups. I mean a 5 or a 6 person company where you are sitting right next to the CEO and you get to see every single day what they do and what tasks they assign to you. And if you see what's happening and you come away going, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever, then that's the right place for you. So quick answer, long answer, yes, you got to love it.
Great. Great. Well, so one of the questions that we got in, this comes from Jeff Walsh. So thanks, Jeff. He's wondering, so he's got an invention that keeps, as I understand it, he wrote a kind of a lengthy thing here, but it's rechargeable and it keeps coffee cups hot, but like that are in reusable cups. So his question is, how do I get this thing in like he wants to talk to Starbucks, he wants to talk to big companies. How do you get in front of large companies when you're just starting out?
Well, I hate to break it to you, but the best way that I've found to get in front of large companies is to get first in front of medium-sized companies. And the best way to first get in front of medium-sized companies is to get in front of small companies. And listen, if you have a track record, this is your third startup, successful startup, you know everyone in the business, and yeah, you can get the head of operations at Starbucks on the phone. By all means, go for it. But probably the reason you're asking me is that that's not you. And so start small. See if you can get your local coffee shop to use it. See if you can get the kind of person who you think is a quintessential customer, not at scale, but the use case is similar, and use your powers of persuasion to get them to do it. If it's extremely small, you can fund the thing. You can remove all the barriers that they may be throwing up about why they don't want to do this. And a couple of things will happen. Number one, you'll quickly find out the flaws in your idea. You'll find out why it does not work exactly the way you imagined it, that customers don't use it the way you imagined it. Or you may have it all wrong, that the criteria the coffee shop wants to use is not necessarily only about, is this best for the customer? It might be things about inventory management and storage and charging and all weird stuff you hadn't anticipated. But you will also, if you're lucky, crush it. And all of a sudden, this will be the best thing since the coffee grinder. And there's no more powerful message when you're calling up the head of operations at Starbucks to say, we've had this thing in trial in local coffee shops in Columbus or Detroit or Akron or wherever you are. And here's the engagement numbers we're getting. It's incredibly popular. And I think this would be great to be rolled out more broadly. Or you can go into them and go, imagine if you will. And I guarantee there's no faster way to get sent to the back of the line than that approach. So like most things, start small, prove it locally, prove it in your neighborhood coffee shop, take the easier route, and then be ready to begin scaling up.
Excellent, excellent. So a question that came in from someone watching right now. This is Dasha. She says she's excited to meet you Friday at Columbia. We'll just put the word out. Mark's gonna be at Columbia, but she wants to know, what's your thesis? What do you like to invest in, Mark? What are you looking for?
And so this is before we can get to that question, just to make it clear, this is not Columbia, the country. So before people begin
All right.
booking tickets and
Yeah.
heading down to Cartagena, this is Columbia, the university, and it's an event they're putting on. Their business school puts on for entrepreneurship. I think it's open to the public with tickets. I don't know if it's sold out or not, but be a good time, and I will be there this coming Friday. Who do I like to invest in? It's no secret that I do a fair amount of angel investments. I think I've maybe done almost 100. And I will let you all in a little secret. I'm a terrible angel investor. And I have no excuse because I've got great deal flow, and hopefully I have enough experience to recognize whether the tech is good and the team is right, and it's adequately capitalized, and all the things you need to do to be a good angel investor. My problem is I don't do it to make money. I realized it's impossible for me to make money at it. The things I love investing in are all small, early stage stuff. It's seed. It's pre-Series A. It's companies still struggling to find their way. It's companies still looking for product market fit. And for companies at that scale, it's really, really hard to predict which ones are going to hit. And so the formula you use is you've got to invest in a lot of them. The successful seed firms do hundreds of investments. And God, who has time for that? So my criteria is very different. Now I'll answer the question of who I invest in. I invest in the people. I invest in people that I would love to see have the same opportunities that I had. I mean, when we started Netflix, when we started Looker, when we started the other 5 companies I was part of starting, there was people who took a winger, who invested money, not because they thought this was a surefire hit, but because they wanted to let us take our shot. And that's my philosophy. The companies I choose are entrepreneurs that I like. They're entrepreneurs that I like their approach, that I think they've got a better chance than not of figuring it out if it can be figured out. And they're people who I just want to have a seat on the sidelines so I can watch them try and make it happen. Tremendously gratifying, not a good formula for making a lot of money as an angel investor.
Is there one or two that leap to mind that just like, that sideline seat was even greater than you could have ever imagined?
Oh gosh, they all are for different reasons. And I don't know how to express this, but when companies struggle, in some ways, that's the most exciting part of entrepreneurship. When I look back at Netflix, or Looker or any of the other companies, yeah, I remember the times when everything went right. But the times that are most vividly stamped on my memory, where I go, gosh, that was so incredibly cool and exciting, were the times that it was desperate and hard. And so even for companies which aren't successful, watching entrepreneurs fight their way out of these positions is incredibly gratifying. Yeah. So listen, I mean, I don't want to name names here, but there's one entrepreneur who I'm now working with them on their third company. And my God, it is like watching an adventure movie. One scrape, one dangerous situation after another, when all of a sudden they wiggle their way out and they live to see another day. It's the most incredibly exciting thing. I spent 6-7 years mentoring the guys who did Chubby's, the shorts company. And that was fantastic because it was such a fun company to be a part of. And we recently sold that to a larger company, and I'm on the board of the larger company, getting to watch the Chubby story continue to unfold. They're all great. I've never been disappointed in watching what happens. If you can afford to invest this way, highly recommended.
That's great. Well, you haven't invested in any of my companies, so maybe that's why you haven't been disappointed yet.
Dan, I'm investing. I invest either my time or my money, and my time is the much more valuable resource since I can't make any more of that.
That's right. That's true. That's great. So a question that came in earlier. This is from Shelley Cooper. Now we hear this a lot where people are worried. I want to tell people about my great idea, but like, isn't everyone just going to steal it? Her specific question is, when a startup applies for a provisional patent to protect its intellectual property rights, uh, is that worth anything? Essentially, she's asking.
Listen, it's the classic answer to every entrepreneurial question, which is it depends. So it depends really what your idea is. If you have discovered a new pharmaceutical that you found by crushing up dandelion leaves and mixing them with, I don't know, jellyfish gel, and it cures baldness. Yeah, don't tell anybody, because that's an incredibly valuable thing that you've discovered. If you have some deep tech, some deep physics that you've discovered, sure, wait for your IP. But wow, 99.99% of the time, it's a waste of time and a waste of money, because the idea is not the thing that's valuable, it's the execution. And you should be able to out execute a large company. So don't take this as 100%. Take it as 99.99%. You do not need a patent. In fact, you shouldn't waste your time on a patent. And worse, you shouldn't keep your idea secret. And I'm not saying you have to go broadcasting it, but if you have the choice between, wow, I would really love to test this, test it. I'd really love to begin surveying people to see what they think. Survey people. Do all those things at the risk of other people hearing what you're doing. Because what I found over and over and over and over again, that the value you get from other people interacting with your idea, from customers being exposed to your idea, from partners being exposed to your idea, is so much more powerful that it outweighs any possible risks that someone else might take your idea. But listen, and I've said this a bunch of times, but it is so important. I'm going to repeat it yet again. The tragedy is that almost all entrepreneurial success comes from taking that original idea, colliding it with reality, realizing how completely flawed your idea was, and then pivoting it. And the tragedy is by not colliding your idea with the reality to protect it from being stolen, what you're doing is avoiding the 99% of the thing which is going to make it successful to protect the 1% that would make it successful. In other words, you're protecting something which doesn't make a difference and sacrificing the thing that does. So, I'm sorry I'm getting heated about this. It is such an important thing. Secrecy is so overrated. Your idea doesn't count. You're going to find out as soon as you collide it with a real person that it's not a good idea and you're onto something else. And the longer you wait to do that, the longer you're stalling. So don't let secrecy get in the way. I gave you my caveat, certain extreme circumstances where you keep it secret, but wow, almost never.
Well, that's great. And this follow-up question, well, I say it's a follow-up because if you know the answer, maybe you should keep it a secret. So this is a question from Rohan Moran, who says, if I want to become the world's richest man, is there a framework or method to become that?
I haven't the slightest idea. What a weird thing to want to be. Be extremely lucky. I don't know. Believe me, Jeff Bezos did not start out saying, I want to be the world's richest man. Elon Musk did not start out saying, I want to be the world's richest man. Warren Buffett did not start out saying, I want to be the world's richest man. None of the people who actually became some of the world's richest men start out that way. They start out because they go, the thing I'm working on is so fascinating that I'm going to keep getting better and better and better at it. And then sometimes, lo and behold, when you don't least expect it, that thing you're working on ends up being hugely valuable to lots and lots of people. And it ends up being something which other people can't compete with. But you cannot predict that's going to happen. So the reason it's so hard to be the world's richest man or richest woman or richest person is because it's so random and capricious. If there was a formula for it, I guarantee lots and lots and lots of people would be competing to do that. So in other words, good luck, but gosh, I think what'll happen if you set that as your goal, odds are extremely unlikely you're going to hit it. And instead, you're going to end up at the end of your life going, I don't know why I chased that the whole time and never got there. I should have pursued some things that actually were going to leave me fulfilled and happy.
That's great. And Mark, I don't know if you're seeing these questions in the chat, but a lot of questions rolling in and a lot of love on this Valentine's Day for you. People are loving the answers, my friend. So great stuff. This is an interesting question. And I've seen this firsthand on our show, Entrepreneur Elevator Pitch, but Sahar Miena asks, what is your approach to negotiation? And maybe you could give some advice to entrepreneurs on the other side of the negotiation table when it comes to sitting down with an investor.
Yeah, these aren't one size fits all answers either. And this is not news, but there is a classic method, which is you're always looking for the win-win circumstance. In my opinion, negotiation is not a competition. It's not a battle where I win and you lose. The real success is I win and you win. And I hate to break it to you, there's no shortcut to that. This is not like you walk into the negotiation and go, okay, we're going to use good cop, bad cop, or we're going to come in and lowball you and see where you have to. forget those tricks. It's going back and doing the research. It's learning everything you can about that person's needs, their business, where they're trying to go, what they're trying to accomplish, why they're talking to you in the first place. And then ask the same questions about yourself. And the key to this negotiation is spending all this time beforehand thinking out, how can I structure this so that I get what I want, but do so in a way that they get something that's going to help them too. And when you find that, it's almost like magic, because not only do you end up getting to a deal, but you end up getting to a stable relationship. I mean, there's this tragic thing where people come in, classically, unfortunately, I see it all the time with people negotiating salaries with people. And the boss is like negotiating to try and get them for as little as they can. And that always backfires, because it just leaves the person feeling bitter and taken advantage of, especially when they find out later what their true market value is. Go into it with the sense that you want to find a solution that works for both sides. And a slightly related point is, and this is definitely not one size fits all, it has to fit your personality. I'm really vulnerable. I'm hugely trusting. When someone says they're going to do something, I will always start out by saying, I believe you. I trust you're going to fulfill your promises. I trust you're going to hold up your end of the bargain. I do not put in all kinds of fine print about what happens if this doesn't work. I don't put in remedies. Wherever possible, I don't even use a lawyer. And what that does that expose you to being taken advantage of? Maybe. But 99% of the times, it is amazing what that level of trust and vulnerability can produce. It's like magic. And the 1% of the time that I do get taken advantage of, completely worth it.
That's great. Well, a bunch of questions have come in about funding, and the name here is Wise Jim, so I'm assuming that's the name of a company. But so the economy, not exactly what everyone wants it to be right now. So what advice do you have for pre-seed founders looking to raise in this environment?
It's really, really hard. As everyone says, oh, the good companies will always get funded, and that's true. But for pre-seed, seed, for these early stage companies, which are prior to product market fit, I'm not gonna, snow you. It's going to be really, really tough. People are not doing that. And the reason is because when you begin to get into this state where there's not a lot of investment dollars flowing to early companies, nobody wants to be last money in, meaning they don't want to put money in and then have you go bankrupt in 12 months because you couldn't get the further amount of money. Because almost by definition, seed is almost never the last money in. It's money designed to prove you can get to product market fit, and then you raise money to continue. And so all I can suggest is twofold. One is go for as long as you can without needing money. I mean, raise friends and family stuff. Go really small. Do everything you can to do validation hacking, to demonstrate you actually have something that works before you go out for money. If you are already at the point where you've raised money and you're now trying to raise an additional round, wow, be really, really careful. Right now is not a time to show growth. Right now is a time to show stability. Cut your costs way, way back and do it now. Doing it now, I mean, listen, I hate to be brutal. Laying someone off now when you have 8 months of runway saves you 8 months of that person's salary. Waiting until you finally realize you can't raise the round, now you have very little ability to change it. Lower your burn rate, save your money, do anything you can to raise cash. So basically the answer is not how, it's delay it as long as you can. But to the answer I gave to an earlier question, keep your chin up, because I promise if you get through this, looking back on it, you'll go, this was some of the times when I, as an entrepreneur, felt most alive.
Awesome. So we're getting on the hitting towards the half hour mark, but we'll try to squeeze in a couple more here. Nina Taylor asked, and I think we could look at this in a broader sense, but she says, I'm having trouble marketing my small business through third parties. What else can I try? And I think the larger question maybe is, do you kind of have a formula for figuring out it's not me, it's you. This relationship isn't working.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'll be quite honest. I'm not sure what that means to be marketing your business through third parties. I mean, I guess you have a product or service that other people sell. Um, yeah, I guess, Dan, the quick answer is I don't know. I don't really understand, and I'm not sure what. Since I don't understand the problem, I'm not really sure how I can make you a
I'm
recommendation how to solve
wondering.
it.
My interpretation of it was maybe she was using a marketing agency to help her market her product and wasn't really seeing the results that she wanted.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of cynical about that stuff,
Mm.
which is using a lot of marketing agencies to do it for you. You've got to have because the thing is, they're just not going to care the same way you care. Um, I'm totally down with having people amplify your efforts. Big believer in having PR professionals help take your message and get it out. But it's when you delegate these things entirely to other people that you run into trouble. Because unless you're exceptionally lucky, and there are great agencies out there, not just PR, but marketing, branding, all those things. There's great ones out there. But wow, it's so troublesome if you assume that they're going to do the hard work of selling your company for you. You know, earlier, not in this show, but I think a previous one, we were talking about some of the most valuable skills that you can develop, and one is salesmanship, and that doesn't mean walking door to door with a briefcase. It means learning how to describe what you do and why somebody else might want it, and demonstrating that to them, which is the essence of marketing and sales. So in other words, I think it's not surprising you're having problems. So one answer is, listen, just change agencies or change third parties. But wow, the more of it you can actually own, the better. I mean, sorry to be the bearer of a bad news there, but I just can't think of any other way to get around that.
So we talked about things that people can try to do, try to learn, and try to embrace to become better in the world of entrepreneurship. Is there anything that you see over and over again that you wish you could just erase from people's behavior or minds, or say, like, don't do that anymore? Like, entrepreneurs should never do this or say this or think this way. Anything spring to mind there? This is a question from Laura Angerin. So kind of an open-ended question, but
I hate to there's a lot of them, unfortunately. It's kind of reverse engineering all the advice that I generally give. One of them we certainly talked about is don't think you need to keep your idea secret. It's counterintuitive, but don't use that for any reason to not do something. Number one, don't keep waiting to start. I hear over and over again, oh, I got this great idea, but I can't start until fill in the blank, until I graduate, until I find a co-founder, until I raise money, until as I've heard 100 of them. So stop making excuses. There's no reason not to start right now. Every single one of those, I could rebut for you. I know there's an answer there. You can find it. Don't do that. Don't think you have to do everything. I mean, listen, when you do a startup, there's going to be 100 things that are broken, 100 things you think you need to have in place in order to start. And the truth is that's not the case. Of those 100, there's probably 3 of them that need to be good and great. The rest of them can be absent or completely awful. And what you don't want is to have something where you've spent 20% of your time on 20 different things, or 5% of your time on 20 different things. You want to spend 100% of your time on one or two things, and that'll make all the difference. And I think if you can stick to those don'ts, I think you've gone a long way to getting closer to the do.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we're running out of time here, but we've got two questions that have popped up a couple of times. So maybe we could speed round them a little bit.
Okay.
One is this is from Jay Garg saying, I'm feeling demotivated after pivoting from my last idea. And he's wondering if you can suggest any ways to pick himself up and try again, even though it seems like things haven't worked out so far.
Yeah, I know it is frustrating. It's kind of like I was speaking about at the very, very beginning of the session for those of you who are on then, where one of the attributes of this business is you work like crazy for days or weeks or months on something, and then you have to have the courage to say, uh-oh, that's not working. I'm going to throw all that work away. I'm going to start fresh. And I won't snow you. Yeah, it can be depressing. You get knocked down. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get back up. But what always has motivated me is what I call the thrill of the hunt, which means when I have to abandon all kinds of work and start again, the thing I want to do quickly is get customer feedback quickly, get market feedback quickly. And so I'll almost always quickly improvise something that I can throw out into the world and get data back soon, a survey, a poll. I'll go out and do, even if I have this crazy idea on a clipboard, I'll go out and do intercept stuff. I'll hack together a quick test. I'll buy some keywords. Because what I know happens is as soon as I do that and a little bit of market information comes in, all of a sudden I get excited again. I go, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't know that. And then I'm off on this, testing this, more of that, more of that. And before you know it, I'm back to the way I usually am, where I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning and get to the office and try something new. So, listen, don't think you have to gear all the way up. Just do something small that gives you this little bit of market feedback, even if it's not good, because you'll see it'll trigger that sense of curiosity. It'll get you back in the hunt again.
That is awesome. And for everyone going nuts in the chat saying how great these answers are, you're correct. They are great. And I want to let everyone know, again, remind everyone that Marc has a great podcast called That Will Never Work that I encourage you all to check out. He's got a book, and this is leading me to the last question, which is people want to know, how do someone like me get in touch with someone like you to let you know my idea? How should people get in touch with Marc Randolph?
Well, the one place to start is certainly my website, which is marcrandolph.com. There is a form there which will submit an email to me, and I do read every single email that I get and respond to almost all of them. But I'll be up front. It's really hard for me to deal individually with every single person who contacts me, which quite frankly, there's quite a few. So a couple of things. One, you can certainly follow me on social and you'll find all those links on the website. There's also, I also have a, no, I'll talk about that later. There's a number of ways to engage with me or with other entrepreneurs that I work with and try and get some advice and suggestions about the projects you're working on. But it can all start by just reaching out to me and let's see if I can help.
That's great. Well, Marc, as always, thank you. I think we may have ran out of time before we could get to your love sonnet about entrepreneurship, but
Darn,
next
darn.
time we'll have to wait till next
year.
time.
Next year.
But, I want to say thanks to everyone who submitted such great questions and for listening. And Marc, I'll let you send everybody off on this Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much, Dan. And it's been a pleasure doing it. And thanks, everybody. And good luck with your entrepreneurial journeys.
All right, great. We'll see you all again soon. We do this We do this a lot. So we'll see you again